Welcome in, friends. I wanted to talk about what I read in March. I only read 5 books in March. It was a very slow reading month. Life, I got sick, my kids got sick, my husband got sick, and I don't feel like doing anything when I'm sick. I also had a couple of books that were just completely put me into a reading slip. They were not very good, and that was a struggle. It took me a while to get out of that reading slump. I am now back to reading again, but it wasn't all bad. I had some books that saved the month of March. So to start off, let's talk about the ones that I did not like. Just get those out of the way. Fruit of the Flesh. This was a new release. I did not like it at all. We have a dark gothic romance. Our main female character, she and her husband marry. It's a marriage of convenience. He needs money. She's wealthy. He uses her parents' money to continue to fund his art. He is a sculptor. She used to be a ballet dancer, ballerina. She retired upon marriage because her parents wanted her to. They both have very dark secrets. Even though they're married, they spend zero time together throughout most of the book. In fact, when they're supposed to fall for each other and it's supposed to be, I will protect you and all romance, I was like, no, how? Because they were together zero in the beginning. How can you develop a relationship to that point where you are willing to protect each other no matter what? I didn't like either character. They were very boring. And then the story just was very boring. So it was just a lot of boringness. And really not much of a plot. So that's all you have is a marriage of convenience with some dark secrets. That's it. Unfortunately, I did read this for a vlog. I talk about it more in that vlog. I'll link it down below if you're interested and you want to see that. I also read, this one got me. This was another new release, and I struggled and I was very disappointed. The Crown of War and Shadows. This is the J.R. Ward's, who I love, by the way. I love this author, but it is her like fantasy or romantasy debut. She is a well-known author. She's written lots and lots and lots of books. This was her first dip into a fantasy romance, and it felt short for me. We have our main female character who is orphaned. She has some sort of connection to this goddess, and that goddess had imprisoned this demon king, and the wards that are holding the demon king in place are crumbling, and the demons are escaping. Soon he himself will also escape. She has this magical power to heal or bring people back from the dead if they're close to death. Things happen in her village and she gets blamed for the some deaths that happen. So now she's hunted. It's a witch hunt. She needs to get out of her town and flee. A mercenary had recently come to town. He tells her, I'll protect you. I'll get you out of here. In exchange, sleep with me. That's going to be the currency. She agrees. On the course of leaving the town, she is told, you have a destiny. Here are these objects that will help you on your journey because it's time for you to go and do your destiny. Nothing mattered. That was my hang up, was this entire journey. We end up right back at the beginning and nothing mattered. The things she was given didn't matter. Her journey didn't matter. Nothing mattered. And the characters were not written well either. So I was sad and disappointed because it was just, if either the characters had been better or if the story itself had had a better plot, it would have been okay. But the plot just killed me. So both of those put me in quite the reading slump because I read those pretty close together and I was like, man. And then nothing hit. So I kept trying and trying. And if I force it, then it's just not going to be good. So I took some time away. Also wasn't feeling well. And then finally, I got some good reads in. I ended up reading Heir of Illusion. This is also in the same reading vlog as Fruit of the Flesh. So I talk a little bit more about it there. This was a 5-star read for me. At first, I thought it was going to be a 4-star, but the ending made my jaw drop. It was so good. Here we are. We're at the end of March, and I read this in February, or I read this at the beginning of March, and I'm still like enjoying this. We have a Faye. She is our main female character. She is tied to this evil Fae king. She wants to break her bonds. And she joins forces with this celestial reaper who is kind of like the god of death. And they are looking for this specific magical object that can not only break her bond, but can kill a celestial being. So, it's their journey, not just of falling in love, but finding this magical object. You learn things about her. And I will say this, everything that I thought was going to happen and where I thought we were heading was there was a 180 done. It did not go the way I thought. It did not end the way I expected. And I was so happy. It was refreshing. It was a refreshing read and made me happy to be a reader once again. So I loved Heir of Illusion. Can't wait for book 2 whenever it comes out. Then my 4-star read was Warrior Princess Assassin. It's a fantasy romance about a warrior, a princess, and assassin. All 3 of them end up in a romance together. It is their journey. The king and the princess are set to be married. Her brother has worked on this contract, and she has not been a part of it at all. In fact, in the beginning, she's like, I want nothing to do with this peace treaty. How dare you trade me off? And the king has no idea. He's this warrior king. He's trying to do the best for his kingdom. His kingdom is suffering. They need the magic from the princess's kingdom. He also can control fire. Well, when he shows up to get her for their marriage, there is a bounty placed on both of their heads. Fortunately for them, the one who receives the contract is the assassin who was the princess's sweetheart. She has been in love with him her whole life. And he says, I'm not killing her. So he takes both of them and they're on the run. That is how the story starts. It was just a fun read. And I really loved the romance between the 3 of them because they all 3 fall in love with each other. And it was a true polyamorous romance, which I liked. And you just seeing each of them fall for each other. It was good. It was a good read. And then the last book that I read, I knew that it was going to break my heart because I expected it, was The Poet Empress. I loved this, but I love sea dramas, especially fantasy sea dramas. They're some of my absolute favorites to binge watch. And I know that they always end in heartbreak. They always make me cry, but they are so good. And this book was just like what I expected, what I thought. It was great. We have a very unique magic system in this world. It's ancient China, and it is not a romance. this is definitely just a fantasy, and it is a standalone fantasy. This girl in ancient China, her village is suffering because there is a horrible famine that is happening. She has helped her mom bury multiple siblings who have died in infancy. She is watching her 7-year-old brother. He is starving to death. She herself is starving to death. It is at a time where the palace, they send out people to bestow blessings upon the different parts of the kingdom. So during this festival, her brother wants to go to the city. She walks him to the city, and it is announced that within a week, every young girl between the ages of 16 and I forget, whatever age, come back and you will be possibly chosen to go to the palace for the prince who is next in line to the throne to be his concubine. So she thinks, this is a chance for me to be chosen, and if I can get chosen, I can help my village. Not only can I help my parents and my little brother, but I can help my village as well. So she goes, and she's not picked at first, but she has an argument with the person who is making the selection. And she's like, just take me. Just please take me. If the prince doesn't want me, he can kill me. That's what she says. And the person is kind of intrigued by her and says, all right, fine, come. But you can just, die at the palace. Fully expecting her to be beheaded, not expecting her to get chosen at all. She arrives, and the prince is actually the one who's next in line. Everyone knows that he's this evil villain. For some reason, he was not supposed to be the next in line. Well, when she gets there, she ends up getting chosen. Lots of horrible things are happening, and she's being tortured. But she is going to be the next empress, is what he says. She makes a determination that he needs to die. But because he has a certain specific ability to protect himself, he can't be killed. He can only be killed by someone who absolutely loves him, and they have to write a poem to kill him. So even though she absolutely hates him, not only does she hate him, everyone hates him, she decides, I'm going to find something to love about him, and I'm going to love him so that way I can kill him. And it's her journey, not just with politics in the palace and trying to survive between the prince and the harem and the current empress. It's also her journey of finding why he is the way he is. And I really like when a story is, are villains made or are they born? And in his case, he was made to be a villain. He did not start off that way, which makes the whole story even more heartbreaking. And in the end, you're guessing all the way up until the very end. What is she going to do? And she's guessing herself, like, what am I going to do? Because she is dead set on one decision, and then by the end, she starts to waver. So it was done very, very well. Please check trigger warnings, though. There is a lot of violence in this book, but it was a great read. And that is how I ended March, was on a wonderful 5-star read. Made me happy to be a reader, and I'm excited for April. I hope I have more good reads in April and into spring. So, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.